Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages.
Oh, the hell with it. Let's just start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vern and Bob's Star Trek show. My name is Vernon,
I'm Bob.
and we are back here with you this week to talk to you about all things Star Trek, well, TV Star Trek. And this week, due to the random wheel drawing, we have a wonderful Star Trek The Next Generation episode called Symbiosis. Bob, we are talking about season 1, episode 22. Original air date was April 18th, 1988.
I will first off say that for a season 1 episode, and I preface for a season 1 episode, it's not bad. It's not, I wouldn't put it up with any other season episodes, but for season 1, it's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, you can swallow it, get through it, and it's actually a pretty decent episode, albeit it is a giant PSA, which we will get to that in just a moment. Dare was a big thing back in the 80s and 90s, and you can definitely tell because this episode hits it on the head.
Late 80s was very much the Just Say No Reagan campaign, Nancy Reagan with her Just Say No to Drug thing. I think I enjoyed this episode, not because of that. That's probably one of the reasons I might not give it a great review, but the guest stars are the reason why I enjoy this. You get a real who's who from Star Trek, other shows, movies. So, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
So here we go. We're going to open up the episode on the Enterprise, approaching a sun in the Delos system that is undergoing large-scale magnetic field changes that is producing violent, gigantic flares. It's a sun. Obviously, We're going to be running full deflectors going into this. And for a rare moment, the ship is going to be on yellow alert. We don't see yellow alert enough.
Yellow alert is basically shields up, is what I've taken out of the series. But I feel like this is very much a yellow alert situation.
With as much interference that the ship has, with obviously expected ship system failures that they were expecting, the ship falls apart, and we'll talk about it. But my word, they had some issues with this one. But before we get there, my question for you is: we get a nice shot of the sun. What the hell is a mask for the photosphere? Those beautiful effects that the big circle just comes onto the screen.
It kind of reminded me, because the last 6 or 7 years we've had the numerous solar eclipses. It just reminds me of the animation they would do on the pre-show for the eclipse. They'd show it what it would look like, and that's usually just the blackout that they use
to
show it off.
It
was terrible. Yeah,
couldn't use a filter. We had to just go with the straight up photosphere mask.
And then everybody was super impressed with the sun flares.
My note says Riker has never seen a solar flare before. Mark. Data then quotes that the magnetic field is unstable, and Wesley we get a real good, and I knew you were going to love it. We get a real wow.
He literally says, it's not just a wow. He literally says, wow. And then he's like, look at this.
Yeah. And then we get Troy for a good moment here, letting the captain know that tension is mounting on the ship.
Is this literally the only scene that Troy's in?
No, she serves a little bit of a purpose later on when talking about what there's a question about why they're not remorseful for their thing, but I do have a note for that too. So,
and it just seems like here we go, another episode where Troy has little to nothing to do with the episode. She's just there, and she goes, "Oh, look, the people are upset on this ship."
Well, her with her skin tight outfit, and that was her purpose.
That was the purpose right there.
Yeah. Then we get Worf picking up a distress signal from an Onaran.
I say Onaran.
Ovarian.
Something.
Freighter. Picard immediately tells the helm to go to warp 2 to planet jump within the same system. I
We're-
feel like that was a little overkill considering you're trying to conserve the ship systems to keep the shields up.
yeah, I'm with you
Warp
on that.
2
Warp 2.
within the same solar system.
Pretty sure full impulse would probably do the
Yeah.
trick. But we're about to stumble into my I'm about to have a meltdown on this one scene.
So let's go with the meltdown. Systems are still being affected by the sun flares this far out from the sun. So we're a couple planets in, and we're still having issues with the
Mhm.
sun flares, just as bad as they were whenever they were at the sun. So we then take Tasha's suggestion to try to use the tractor beam to pull the freighter free that is stuck in the gravitational pull of the planet. And then we find out that the ship is called the Sanction, and it is captained by Tijan, a not so bright individual. So, as the tractor beam fails, Data has hacked the freighter systems. While everything is going on, Data is able to hack the freighter system schematics and everything like that. Finds out that the problem with the ship is a defective engine coil. Geordi states the ship's store should have a replacement. Let's talk about ship stores for a moment.
Mhm.
Episode 2, The Naked Now. Tasha goes, the ship store should have what I'm looking for. Is this DS9? Why does a ship store have an engine coil?
Has an engine coil for a ship,
Yes.
a group of people that they've only had contact with once in the past 200 years, but they have the exact part that they need for their freighter.
Yes.
Universal parts. Universal parts. It's not
So
even
the
my biggest issue here.
so then the captain of the Onaran freighter doesn't know how to replace the coil, so that idea is useless.
Mhm.
We find the ship that is on its way to a planet named Brekka, and that Tijan has been there 26 times. And Riker suggests he goes over there with a team to extract them or
Mhm.
help them. And Tasha comes right over the thing. She shuts that shit down quick and fast in a hurry.
Oh, because we almost forgot that the ship is being disintegrated in the atmosphere. Here it is. So even if they were the smartest people on the face and they understood the mechanics of their ship perfectly, giving them these parts, I don't think they would have had enough time to install this onto their ship and still be able to pull it out of whatever disintegrating orbit they're in.
You're gonna stress it and probably ruin it just like the first one.
Yeah, well, yeah, and let's just let's finish this because I got a lot more to go into, but it involves finishing this cold open.
So to wrap this up, we then go to beaming the crew members over to the
Mhm.
Enterprise. And in capital letters, I say, why wasn't that a suggestion first, knowing the whole situation is going to shit? Get the people out first, then worry about the ship.
I'm holding my tongue because I want to. I have a whole tirade to go into
And this is
about
a
this.
long cold open. I mean, there's a
It's,
lot of stuff in this first.
yeah,
In that
it's
couple
a
minutes.
lot happening. It's a lot happening in this 5 or 6 minutes.
So then we get to the transporter room where Riker and Tasha go down there with a nonstop communique from bridge to transporter room. So they
Mhm.
never stop communicating. Worf provides ship status updates, and the first transport is underway, and a cargo container gets beamed over. Picard asks if they got the people off the ship. We have room for some more small talk because the ship's burning up, but we still have all
Yeah.
kinds of small talk. Why was this beamed over?
Mhm.
We start transporting the 6 people, no matter where they are, which should have been something we did in the first place instead of telling them to
Mhm.
go to their transporter pad. And we only get 4 of the 6, and then the ship is destroyed. The bridge is yours, number 1.
Am I the only person that thought that if they would have just shut the fuck up and not wasted 5 minutes discussing how stupid these people were, they could have saved all 6 people?
They could have done that if they would have just transported them over to begin with, but you're right. That's why I have the note there that says there's room for some more small talk on the Enterprise.
They sit there, and Picard has these fucking ridiculous like comments about how stupid they are. These
I
backhanded,
question these people's blah,
Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it. They're a little slow. They come off as a little slow. How about you bring them onto the ship and save them before you sit there? Then they get to the transporter room and they beam over their cargo, right? And they're like, he's like, well, they beamed over the cargo, and Picard goes, Number one, I don't get these people. Why did they transport over their cargo? And I
Who
was
gives
like,
a shit? Get it off the pad and let's go.
I said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why don't you shut up and just let them just beam them over? Who cares why they beamed over? Just get them out of there.
Right, because it doesn't matter what they beamed over if you could just beam them over anyways.
And anyways, if you would have just started the beam over process 5 minutes ago, you would have gotten their cargo and all 6 people.
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We make better decisions. The moment was tense. But what's crazy about this is you go from a captain that seems like an absolute dumb shit, and then when they get on the ship, they're no longer those people. And this was the person that they were talking to originally, Tajan. So it's not like they were talking to a different person. This guy gets on the ship and is, cargo this, cargo that. But we'll get into it.
So we get them beamed on, right? Mm-hmm. And here we see, this is where I'm saying it's a real who's who of the Star Trek universe. We have Tajan, who's played by Merritt Buttrick, and we all know him as David from the Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3, The Wrath of Khan and The Search for Spock. Romus is played by Richard Linebeck. He has made appearances in The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise. We have Sobe, played by Judson Scott, who was Khan's right-hand man in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. He also shows up. He plays the Romulan in Star Trek Voyager episode Message in a Bottle.
The one where
they're able to beam the Romulan officer onto the ship through the little wormhole or whatever.
But he was like 30 years in the past.
Yes, yeah, but he plays that Romulan too. So he makes quite a few appearances.
If you haven't learned a thing about Star Trek, is they reuse the actors quite a bit. Some definite big names making appearances in this episode, which leads us to the return from the opening credits. We get 2 farm boys and 2 elite-looking people boarded upon the ship. Riker then decides that this is the best time to choose to berate the people that boarded the ship for boarding the cargo over first. He goes straight into busting balls. Like, well, we would have saved everybody had you not beamed over your cargo. So then the 2 farm boys instantly are obsessed with making sure the cargo is safe with no regard to the 2 lost souls. We go to the cargo bay and an argument ensues over the cargo and who it belongs to. And there's obviously a dispute of payment because the payment got lost in the destruction of the ship. We find out that the cargo is called Felicium. The elite couple choose that they want to be beamed down to Brekka with the cargo. The elites' names are Langor and Sobe, and the farm boys' names are Tajan and Romus. A fight then breaks loose, and these people fight with some crazy electrical force looking like Pikachu running around the cargo bay. Then we get a phaser blast from Tasha.
With a terrible line.
In a very... I can't even get to the line. You already know.
So awful. It's
in a very sexualized tone. She tells the men to behave yourselves, gentlemen.
Is it just me, or is like Tasha probably one of the worst written characters in Star Trek?
Wonderful actress. I love Denise Crosby. But
Denise Crosby goes on to do a lot of stuff, and a lot of good stuff she does, but for whatever reason, they wrote her so badly. Behave yourselves, gentlemen. And I'm just like, God, could you say that any creepier?
She did have one hell of an episode of Red Shoe Diaries, but we won't go into that.
I remember that one. That was in my teen years. I remember that one.
The visitors are escorted to the observation lounge, and Tasha and Riker discuss on the way there the suit.
I just picture a chair in the middle of a dark room. And I can't stop laughing.
To protect and serve.
Oh my God. I can't, like, as soon as you said that, I just have that picture of that chair in the middle of that dark room, and she okay.
The question is to leave this in or not.
This is going to be like a
bloopers reel.
blooper thing, yeah.
So
Oh,
then we make our way to the observation lounge where Tasha and Riker discuss the superpowers of the individuals. And Tasha makes a comment that she needs to be ready for the weaponry that people use. And Riker, in a very direct tone, says, "Precisely,
that yeah, precisely,
Priscilla,
precisely, Priscilla.
yeah, you got it, precisely, Lieutenant."
Which
What
is
the hell?
that is another like it feels like a forced line, and I'm just like, who is writing this? I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna look at who wrote this episode.
Oh
Story
God.
by Robert Lewin. Oh, yeah, I get it. He's one of Roddenberry's friends, and he wrote, let's see, Data Lore,
Oh.
Symbiosis 11001001,
Well, how about that?
and Arsenal of Freedom. So, I mean, I liked Data Lore. I liked Arsenal of Freedom.
We know how we feel about the other one,
Yeah, 11001001 was not a
also
very
known
good
as a
one.
zero.
So, I mean, he was one of those first season and a half writers that was with Roddenberry until they went in a whole new direction and started bringing in like actual fans of Star Trek and bought their scripts.
That was a lot of the early 90s, mid 90s of anything.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, you were allowed like the X Files. The X Files they took fan submitted scripts and
So we make our way to the observation lounge where the locals are arguing over the possession of the cargo. And then we cut to the bridge real quick where the systems are still shaken, not stirred. And we find out that first contact with the species, like you said earlier, was about 200 years ago, where they found the two planets, one of which was not capable, but almost capable of space flight. So
mm-hmm,
there should have been zero contact with these
mm-hmm.
individuals at that time.
There should have been zero contact with them right now.
Well, you say that. Well,
It's warp.
it's
It's
warp
warp
technology.
technology.
You're
So
very
they're
correct.
right now they're not even at warp technology. They
Yeah,
have interplanetary craft.
yeah.
And when you
Jordy makes a
see
comment that says, and it seems like nothing progressed past that.
no, and here's the thing is you see that last scene of this episode when they're leaving, and it looks like Brekka and whatever the other
Right
uh
here.
yeah, they're not super far apart. So they're basically got transport ships that take them that are interplanetary. And
Right.
I don't even think it's really interplanetary. I think it gets them from one planet to the other and back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not once again, here's season one. We're going to interfere with a group of people that we have no business talking to.
But let's circle back to
I
that
know.
because the prime directive.
Oh, and this is where it blows my mind at the end of it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll get there. Then here comes Deanna Troy coming in and talks about how none of the guests are worried about the lost crewmen and are worried more about the cargo. Picard then says, let's make a call to the observation lounge to get some answers. He chooses Riker, Data, and does not take Deanna into what is already seeming like a hostile situation. Does not take the one person that could probably smooth it out for you, doesn't take her.
How about the person that basically can read minds when she wants to?
Help mediate a little bit.
Yeah. But this is such as season one writing that doesn't make much sense on how they do things.
The Onarans have two broken ships, ask for help repairing them. Data spouts off saying that it should be no problem for us, considering we've never studied your technology before, but we have your schematics and should be able to get it from our ship stores.
You're one step away from using rocks and sticks to fight, so we're pretty sure we can fix your
we have a spring that we can put in there and get you from there to here. And then another argument kicks in about the cargo, and the farm boys tell Picard that it is medicine that is at question, and their civilization must have it to live due to a lethal plague. The Brekkians confirm, and just like Big Pharma, they state that the plague-saving drugs come at a high price to acquire, also known as insurance or very high copay. Big Pharma, Brekka, does not seem to be too far concerned, and we find out that the plague may have been brought on the Enterprise. And then Picard, in what I can only recall, I don't recall this ever being called ever again, a med alert, and for the doctor to come to help.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Med alert.
Med alert.
Yeah. No, that's that. I think that's the only time I remember them using it. Yeah.
which again, continuity issues here. The captain calls for the doctor to come to the observation lounge. When we return from commercial, We are in sickbay, where Crusher is doing scans and state the Brekkians are in good health, and the Brekkians wish to speak to the captain in private. But
Yeah.
Chief Medical Officer Bevy says no.
God, she is so terrible in this episode.
And then she pulls the captain to her office for a private talk.
I was never a fan of Dr. Beverly Crusher. Her acting in this episode is just awful. It's fucking
But
terrible.
further we go as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not even 2
To the
minutes
acting
into the worst of it. I will say that what's his name? Romus is basically tweaking out on
Yeah,
on that
People are just scratching and stuff.
sweating, and it's like, fucking like tweak.
Which is why I have the note here. We learn that the Onarans are showing signs of an infection, yet she can't find the cause. No surprise there.
Fucking space crackheads.
My note here says, where is Pulaski when you need her?
You either hate Crusher or you like her or you love her. I know a lot of people that enjoy her. I don't. I just think it's a terrible character. When she comes back, she gets even more annoying. I can't stand any Crusher centric episodes, whether it's Wesley or Beverly Crusher. They just get on my nerves. There's one episode I like, Remember Me, where the people slowly start to disappear and she's got caught in some pocket in space or whatever. Yep. Other than that, I can't because of Subrose. What? Did I say that?
Those of us in the paranormal field truly enjoy that episode.
That's a meme all to itself.
All in itself.
All in itself, yes.
Ew. She has no answers for Picard at all, which was no surprise there as far as why the Onarans are sick. The Onarans plead with Picard for the chems. I mean, the Felicium.
The rocks, man. The rocks.
And Crusher then puts her opinion, very opinionated Dr. Crusher in this episode, and even Picard says something about it here in a little bit. She says that they seem like they need it. Picard then states he will talk to the Brekkians for a sample to help out.
That's what it is. Not just a sample. They said we'll give them each a dose. We'll give them two doses.
Like 0.01 milligrams.
God, yeah. It's like that is. But I laugh because I'm like, yeah, 2 doses. Yeah, you're giving them 2 hits is what you're doing.
Yeah. 4 million some odd. Thank you, Mr. Data.
Yeah. 4,300,000,000.
Yeah. We then cut to the Brekkians' quarters, where they seem quite pleased with themselves while enjoying some Tropicana orange juice.
I was going to say they're taking shots of orange juice.
Got to keep your vitamin C up so you don't get the plague.
I'll tell you, she's very comfortable in that, lounging on that couch.
Amen. Then Picard walks in. Some ass kissing begins from the Brekkians, and Picard poses that the Onarans need the Felicium and asks for a safe cure for their illness. Mm-hmm. Cure for what ails you.
And then the Brekkians go straight into insurance or medical company rant where it's like, well, we're not in the business of just giving away our product.
Right.
That's what everything you ever hear from a medical company is, well, we're not really in the business of just giving out our medicines.
It's so funny that you say that. We then go to the cargo bay to extract the goods because the Brekkians do agree to it. Crusher starts asking some questions, and we find out that the Felicium is a very potent product.
A couple weeks ago, I watched this for the first time when it first hit that we were going to do this episode, and I kind of started feeling like in this scene is when Crusher kind of started catching on to what was going on, but I thought she did, but then she didn't because she seemed so surprised when they took the dosage.
Right.
But it seemed like she was catching on here. Like all the comments she would make and the little like expressions on her face. I was like, oh, she's getting it. She's catching on to what they're doing. But apparently not.
We then get a history lesson on the distillation process. The Brekkians have improved over the years and making the street hustling product, filling prescriptions easier and at a more proficient rate.
Mm-hmm.
So we learn they're getting good at what they do.
Well, when her grandfather was around, it would take
4 of these cargo bays.
It would fill the entire cargo bay, the amount we got right here.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that in a southern accent.
We find out that the dosage is only good for about 72 hours. This speaks to your point. Crusher feels that this is a very unusual disease.
Mm-hmm.
And since she can't account for it, she wants to take a sample to sickbay to kind of to administer it and learn more about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, it seemed like she was getting it. Like she was putting it together right there. And then all of a sudden, no, she didn't. She didn't get it.
And then to line up directly with Big Pharma, Felicium is the only export that Brekka needs to survive.
Here's my question. It's the only export they have because the Onarans provide them with everything they need, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are they giving them that's a clear trade? I mean, what?
Maybe that's where they grow the food.
I'm going to say this right now. This is a planet of fucking crackheads. What are they growing? What are they producing?
Right.
That is an honest trade
For over 200 years.
For over 200 years.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused. I'm kind of not confused, but I'm kind of interested in what they're actually trading these people for these drugs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
because we never do hear them say what the payment was,
and it's
they
like,
agreed on.
But yeah, they say it. Yeah, they say they provide everything they need. So I mean, apparently it has to be food and mercantile stuff. But how the fuck are these people creating anything?
Yeah, it does not make sense.
Every 72 hours, they got to get high as a kite.
And then they got to get it shipped. They got to ship it over there because they use the traders, and now So we return back from commercial, and we're in sick bay. Dr. Crusher observes the Onarians taking the medicine and how it makes them feel afterwards. You get a real good that's good shit moment here.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see that where she's like, these motherfuckers.
and then we get a very on Crusher.
Pans right in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, real close.
It's ridiculous how close it gets and how slow it is.
Yeah, but no, you get that. It's they use the oversized cooking spoon.
Yeah,
where and then they got the little needle that they do, and they do it into the palm of the hand, and they're good to go. And it's instantaneous. That's how potent this stuff is. They weren't kidding.
0.001 whatever.
Yeah.
0.01010.
Yeah, it's all it's ones and zeros. That's all it comes down to.
Crusher then visits the captain in his ready room and makes the assumption that the Felicium is a narcotic and that the Onarians are drug addicts. So here we go. This is where it all starts to go downhill.
Yeah, I think we're at about, I want to say this is the 30-minute mark of the episode. And from the 30-minute mark to the very end is just a PSA for drug use.
I have an additional moment that is highlighted PSA time, but you're absolutely right. This is where it goes into it. We cut to the bridge where Data gives a history lesson about the two planets and the plague's origins. Here comes Bevy off the turbo lift, and Riker says, without the trade agreements of the goods, all of the Onarians would die. And Bevy injects, says, no, they wouldn't. They are drug addicts due to the plague being cured 200 years ago. And Riker's like,
what?
Yeah. She says they are hooked on the high, but do not need the product to survive. She asks Picard what he is going to do. And Picard basically says nothing they can do. And then
here's where we get into the issue. Here's where we get into the whole thing. So,
and then she grills Picard, saying that you don't think addiction and exploitation isn't a good enough reason to do something. He explains that this is a symbiotic relationship, and the doctor's analysis is of a personal opinion. I mean, she's not wrong.
No, she's not. She's not. I mean, this is clear exploitation of one group against another. I get both sides of it, but there's also an issue with Picard's stance on this, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
So we go further into it that Dr. Crusher apparently had enough time from witnessing what happened to now, basically her short walk up to the bridge, that she knows she can create a non-addictive Narcan-like substance. But Picard, again, says no. Picard says it is not our position to force the Federation and Earth's values on any other galaxy.
You do it all the time.
Yeah, or any other planet in the galaxy. But yes, they do it all the time.
You do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we take a look back at the episode where they pulled Wesley off the planet for
justice.
Flowers.
The Enos, they should never have been on that planet. But, you enforced your will on that planet.
and then pulled Wesley out and said, "Fuck your rules. We don't
we don't care about your
Federation."
rules. Yeah.
We then get a hail from Onara looking for their people and wish to speak to them. Picard facilitates a video call from the guest quarters. This is where I've got my PSA time highlight. And again, this kind of confuses me, but I know what they were trying to do here, a mini commercial within the episode. Wesley and Data are having a conversation about drugs and how it is not a personal choice to become addicted. Tasha then puts her 2 cents in and tries to explain to the young ensign that drugs can make you feel good. They continue discussing how addiction works, and Wesley doesn't understand.
This is 100% late 80s. This is your brain on drugs. This is all it was. This was all this episode was made for. Was this 3 minutes right here?
Yep.
Because if you actually look at this episode, the main cast has very little to do in this episode.
Yep.
Outside of Picard and Crusher, there's very little for all of them to do.
Keep the ship systems running, which is your everyday job.
And so I feel like this whole episode is based for this 3 minutes, this 3-minute conversation.
Yep.
They built an episode around a PSA, a public service announcement,
and
is what they did.
And if you were to follow the continuity of the Next Generation, Wesley knows what this feels like. He says he doesn't know what it feels like. He doesn't understand what the high is. What happened to you in episode 2?
I was going to say, what happened 6 months ago when you
took over the ship?
Yeah, and you had it was like intoxicant on the brain.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. You know what it feels like.
Yeah. Don't give me that shit.
This is bad This is, once again, and I've said this before, season 1 bad writing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't remember what we did 15 episodes ago.
Right. And it was all done in probably the same day or same week of shooting.
I mean, if you look at the shooting schedules, if you go to Wikipedia, they'll tell you it was shot between. It's like 3 days. They shoot like an episode in 3 days.
So we go to the Onaran quarters, and the video call takes place where the planet is pleading for the fix. The captain tells them that he cannot help, and then they attack Commander Riker and hold him captive, demanding they take them and the drugs to the planet or Riker will die. We have a very good moment of Riker corpsing, I believe is the term. It's a corpsing performance where he's like,
oh yeah.
And then Picard, with the biggest set of nuts I've ever seen on a captain, pretty much plays Russian roulette with Riker's life and says he will not be coerced. First, no. And then Picard pushes the guy again and says, no, you will not kill him. That's not who you are. And then they let go of Riker. No.
Well, he has that nice moment where he's like, "You're not a murderer," and he's like, "Yeah, no shit," and he just
but a drug addict could do anything for a fix.
Well, that's true, but he's had his fix, so he's kind of like at that point where he's in his right mind after the high wears down. He's got that little bit where he's. But here's my question, and this is what I've been waiting to ask this question: is this place? This planet has been addicted to drugs. Everybody on this planet has been addicted to drugs for 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
How are they having fucking elections, electing people as like their leaders? I would love to see two crackheads have a debate about who's going to be the next president.
If you nominate me, I will get you Felicium at a quarter of the cost of what you do now. Only a quarter of your crop.
I would love to watch a presidential election on this planet between two crackheads.
The Onarans then again plead for Picard's help, and he says he's not sure he can. We get back from commercial, and Riker, if you look at Riker's face when he's getting up, he's laughing. He is laughing when he gets up, when he's facing away from the camera. He brings himself looking like he just ate too much turkey at the Thanksgiving dinner table, but he says he's okay. We then get a visit from the female Brekkian wanting to speak to the captain again. He brings Crusher along with him, and we go to the Brekkians' quarters, and they agree to give the Onarians the the Felicium. They set up a agreement that basically they can pay them when the Onarians can pay when they can. The Brekkians say they don't want to be responsible for the Onarians' suffering, and Picard says the oddest line of the episode, "There goes the other shoe."
I think it means that the other shoe is dropped or whatever.
In your however many years of life, Have you ever used the term "there goes the other shoe"?
No.
This opens up the conversation about how the Felicium is a drug and not a cure. We found out the Brekkians had the plague as well, cured themselves, yet did not tell the Brekkians, the Onarians, and made the drug more potent to make the addiction stronger. And then we get the lashing out from Dr. Crusher. She goes in full passionate mode, where Picard tends to stay a little calm here, which is interesting. The Brekkians acknowledge and ask Picard if he's going to spill the beans and says he cannot tell them due to the Prime Directive. Crusher begs Picard passionately not to give them the drug, and he overrides her, says, yeah, we're going to give it to him.
I mean, they caught him. They caught him red-handed. They knew that it wasn't... They knew if they didn't give him the drugs, they were going to detox, and they have no other type of industry on their planet besides this Felicium or Felicium. Yeah. They have no other industry but the drug trade right now. They're a planet of Pablo Escobars.
So they had to keep giving out the free samples.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, they knew if they don't give this to them, then that's it. It's done. They have no way of paying for anything.
Which brings us to the show close and the big old double switch by the Picard. We go to the cargo bay where the new coils are on standby to be delivered, and the Onarans ask Tasha if they are already aligned, and she plays coy, says they'd have to ask the captain.
Well, she seemed kind of annoyed too when they asked that. She's just like, "You're going to have to ask the captain that." I don't know. Yep. I'm a security chief.
They then beg for the medicine, and they are told that it will be going with them. And everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
Picard redirects the thanks to the Brekkians, and all parties agree to go to Onara to discuss payment. Then they say thank you for the coils, and Picard says, well, wait just one hot damn minute.
He doesn't even say all that. He just goes, no.
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 The coils are staying with us.
Yeah. No, you're not getting them.
Both of the alien parties get upset, and Picard states that this decision is to not help the Brekkians, but more so to help the Onarians to prevent them from traveling from back and forth. So they're not making any Felicium hauls anymore.
Picard, you sly little devil, you.
Picard playing the role of the narc division here, shutting down Big Pharma, which everybody beams off the ship. Crusher and Picard then discuss the decision and how horrible it will be for the Onarians and withdraw, but Picard says that it will pass.
There is a behind the scenes moment that as they're walking out of the cargo bay, if you watch the background, you'll see Tasha, Denise Crosby, and as the door's closing, she waves goodbye to the camera because this was her last scene she shot for Star Trek.
Oh, wow.
Because this episode comes out before Shades of Grey, which the episode she died in, but it was filmed after Shades of Grey. So this was that cargo bay was the very last thing she shot before she left the show. Yeah, I saw it. I forgot where I originally saw it or read it or whatever. And every time I watch it now, I cannot not see it because she kind of leans over and she goes like that real quick. And it's her way to say goodbye to the fans.
Wow. I will have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. I'll have a little clip added in there showing it. So, but here's the thing is now we get onto the elevator where they're discussing the whole situation, and Crusher was pissed before because Picard wouldn't do anything to stop it, and then Picard does something to stop it, and she's still pissed. She's pissed at the way he's doing it. You can't have it both ways. I mean, you wanted him to do something, he did something, and now you're bitching about the way he did something.
And then he gives her a rundown of the Prime Directive, how vital it is to follow it.
First of all, here's the thing. If you're going to use the Prime Directive, you can't, you told them is, well, we have this Prime Directive and we can't interfere with other races.
They should have died in the planetary fire.
You shouldn't even have had contact with them.
Right.
From what I've always understood, it's a warp capable society that they make first contact with.
Yep.
Other than that, you're not supposed to have contact with them.
Yep, because it goes by the Vulcan rule. The Vulcans are pretty much the one who made the Prime Directive, which is no contact until. And I get why they helped them because it was a distress call and Obviously, the humanitarian part of the Federation was there, but
Honestly, when they picked up the distress call, they would have been within the same solar system, so they would have been able to scan them from a distance. And as soon as they realized what their capabilities were for space travel, they should have been like, "We're not going to respond to this,"
yeah,
and
which
just
would have
left
been
it at that.
shit.
That's
But I
the
mean,
prime directive.
like the
But
end of the episode, basically, shit. Even Picard says, "We will never know, what happens to these people." We then wrap up with a shot of the bridge, and Picard asks the Forge to take them somewhere, anywhere that is away from where they are now. Geordi chooses the upper line system, and Riker says, interesting choice. Why did you choose that, Geordi? And Geordi says it's out of curiosity because we've never been there before.
that seems like a line that somebody came up with where they're like, "Oh, this is going to be gold. Let's put
To
that in
boldly
there."
go where no one has gone before.
But when you get out there and he's like, "Well, where should we go, sir?" And Captain Picard's basically like, "I don't care. I don't
Just put on
just
the gas."
anywhere but here." And that's like 100% Picard in season 1. He's kind of like a dick all the time.
Very militant.
Um,
Militant.
and you see it right there. Yeah, it's very much a military ship in the first season.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's like
why are you,
the future the alternate universe Enterprise where Tasha's still alive and they're in war times.
Mhm.
Do you
Oh,
truly think
yesterday's Enterprise. Yeah.
that's where you truly think the Enterprise would have gone under this reign of Captain Picard?
Oh, his first season? Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Well, I think that's it for this one.
That is it for this one. Again, not a bad episode.
For season 1, no. It's
Season
probably
one,
top tier for season 1, which isn't really saying much of anything. But
it,
do you want to do the rating?
I give it a 3 out of 5.
For reals? For reals?
Yeah, maybe 2.5 out of 3.
I can't. I'll go as high as 2
Really?
because I enjoyed the guest stars. I mean,
I don't
honestly,
think anything was really
it wasn't
other than
bad.
the stuff we sit here and bitch about, but
It
the
wasn't bad.
writing was what ruined it.
2 stars is about as good as you're going to get for season 1. Maybe The Big Goodbye is probably
Okay.
a 2.5.
So
to 3.
season one being we're going all over the entire.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, out of the whole scheme of
Then
things,
yeah,
this season 1. It's 1, 2, or 3 out of the season 1 episodes. But in the whole scheme of things, this is like easily in the hundreds for best episode of series.
2.5.
2, yeah. No, I
I
mean,
don't
like
think
I
the
said,
message was bad. I really don't think the episode.
no, the
Nothing ever
message.
seemed like a lull. It always seemed like everything was going. It flowed.
The message wasn't bad. It just felt like the message was forced.
Oh yeah,
Like they forced this whole episode to make this message. The guest stars were good. The main cast had, like I said, besides Picard and Crusher, had nothing to really do with the episode. It just felt like it was a very forced just say no to drugs episode, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, I if I'm going to watch a Star Trek episode from season 1, it'll probably be this or The Big Goodbye. I mean, that's just how it, or we'll always have Paris, because I like the Mannheim thing with the parallel universes. All right.
You know what time it is, though?
Oh, yes.
It is time to choose our fate.
It's randomizer time.
Let's eat some dirt, baby.
I will let you know when I have started, and I will tell you. I'll let you know when you started, and then it's up to you to stop it.
Yeah.
All right.
All
right. 3, 2, 1. I am randomizing.
Random. I'm feeling good on DS9. And
no
stop.
whammies. Ooh, okay. Season 3, episode 22 of DS9, Explorers.
That is the episode where they use where Cisco and Benjamin and him go out on that. Is that the ship?
Yeah, they build the 800-year-old 800-year-old Bajoran spaceship and tries to use it to prove that Bajoran explorers could have made it to Cardassia without developing warp drive.
And it almost goes to shit.
It's not. I don't remember it being a terrible episode. I think we might have our first, well, besides the Tony Todd I think we might have our first good randomized episode.
Yeah, I do enjoy that one because it's very suspenseful. The fact that I knew it based off just the name says that I remember it. So I think you had some good acting. We will get into season 1 of Deep Space Nine eventually, and unfortunately, it does fall under Star Trek season 1 rules.
I'll tell you what.
Cisco.
Yeah. Season 1 and season 2 of DS9 are rough. I'm not gonna lie. Not till the end of season 2 does it get good.
A friend of mine was on one of these Deep Space Nine episodes.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the episode where they play softball or baseball.
Yeah. Later. Yeah, I like that episode.
Yeah, I'll have to find a picture. She was in the crowd. She was an extra.
Oh, that's cool. That is very cool.
She said her story about it was she remembers showing up to the ball field. It was some ball field in LA, and basically you had a Klingon walking around the ball field. It looked really weird.
You mean Worf?
Yeah.
Like, you mean the king of all Klingons?
Exactly. The son of Moog.
So,
all right. So, yeah. Bob, any last words before we move into the socials and say goodnight?
I'm actually looking forward to watching an episode for this series.
Me too.
This is the 5th episode, so I mean, six could be a good one. We'll see.
All right. So, Bob, where can we find you and the channel on the socials?
So, for right now, as long as it lasts, on TikTok at Trekkie83, but that may change. For the show, we got an Instagram, we got a Twitter or X, whatever it's referred to now.
I'm not on X, but I saw the announcement about you.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use that much. There's
it can be kind of toxic over there.
I know, and I haven't really done much with it. But we have an Instagram, we have the Discord. All of these, are going to be in the description down below. So come and check us out.
Yeah, join us on the Discord, guys.
The Discord,
we would love to have discussion with y'all about what's working with the episodes, what's not working, what you want to see, because throw us up an episode. We'll take precedence over that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even in the comments below, if there's an episode you want us to watch, that takes precedence over one we randomize. So just go ahead and comment.
I understand we've got 100 follower reward.
Yes,
100 followers.
Yeah. So me and Vernon discussed this. We've made some good strides with the subscribers on this channel.
Tell a friend.
Yes, absolutely. But what we are going to do is when we hit 100 followers, we are going to watch the best Star Trek episode to ever be produced. Tuvix. That's the number.
Do a watch along.
Oh, yes. And
we're not going to be doing notes. We're live reaction.
No, this is going to be with all of you guys. So, but definitely, yes. If that is something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button, get us to 100, and we will be doing a Tuvix watch along.
Yep. And as far as social media for me, you find me as the current moment on TikTok, WVGLAG, or just look in the stuff below and you'll have a link that you can click.
Yeah, we'll have
guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. Hit that like, subscribe, do all the things that make the jinglings go, and don't be a Riker. That's my message for today. Don't be a Riker.
Don't ever be a Riker.
Don't be a Riker. Don't be a Neelix. We'll get to a Deep Space Nine character not to be like.
Don't be an early Dr. Bashir.
Oh God. An enhanced individual going full enhanced individual.
Getting shot down by every woman imaginable.
Every woman, even the symbiote recreation underage version of someone.
Didn't he strike out with like a hologram?
He did. He did. Oh my God.
Yes. So
there it is, guys. We will get there eventually, but thank you again. And as always, everyone, have a great day.